Welcome to the Vault Excel. Hope you all are well. Hello, Akira, Lennox. I first like to send condolences to those who were wounded during the rally yesterday and to the decedent's family, Corey Comparator, who was unalive during that rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Two other men are in critical condition. This content is by CBS News and was uploaded today, 6:19 p.m. Who was the shooter and what was his motive? FBI has identified 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He was killed by a Secret Service sniper, officials said. Once again, Corey Comparator, I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, was unalive during this rally. The FBI has identified Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20 of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as the subject involved in the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump, July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. This remains an active and ongoing investigation, and anyone with information that may assist with the investigation is encouraged to submit photos or videos online to fbi.gov. FBI is capital letters, gov is lowercase / Butler lowercase, or call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Federal investigators said the gunman was not carrying identification, so they analyzed his DNA to provide a biometric confirmation of his identity. Crooks was from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, a Pittsburgh suburb about an hour south of Butler. The town in Allegheny County is home to about 30,000 people and has one high school with about 1,300 students. Bethel Park School District confirmed to CBS Pittsburgh station KDKA that Crooks was a 2022 graduate of Bethel Park High School. School officials pledged to work with law enforcement investigating the shooting and offer condolences to those affected by the attack. Former classmate Jamison Myers, member of the school's varsity rifle team, told CBS News that Crooks had tried out for the team freshman year but did not make the junior varsity roster and did not return to try out for the team in subsequent years. He called Crooks a nice kid who never talked poorly of anyone, and he said, "I never have thought him capable of anything I've seen him do in the last few days." Fellow classmate Summer Barkley told CBS Pittsburgh reporter Megan Schiller that although Crooks wasn't popular, he still had a group of friends and was a good student beloved by teachers. She said she didn't see any red flags that would lead her to believe he would do something like this. Mark Sigafus, who graduated with Crooks and sat near him in class, told CBS News that while it was possible Crooks was bullied in school, he never personally saw it happen. Sigafus described him as smart, friendly, and frequently engaged during class, definitely nerdy for sure, but said he never gave off that he was creepy or like a school shooter. And that's why you can never assume anything about people because you don't know people. Just throwing that in there. He seemed like he wouldn't hurt a fly, he said. Another classmate, Jason Kohler, had a somewhat different view, telling Schiller that Crooks was a loner who was bullied relentlessly for his appearance and wore camo hunting outfits in class. He said Crooks would often sit in the cafeteria alone before class. He also said Crooks was very COVID conscious and wore a surgical mask long after they were required. Crooks graduated from the Community College of Allegheny County in May 2024 with an associate in science degree in engineering science. Spokesperson for the college confirmed to CBS News. Crooks also worked at Bethel Park Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center as a dietary aide, according to the facility's administrator. Crooks also had a membership at a nearby gun club for at least a year. Bill Salido, the president of the Clareton Sportsman's Club in Clareton, Pennsylvania, told CBS News that Crooks was a member. "We can confirm that Mr. Crooks was a member of the Clareton Sportsman's Club. Beyond that, the club is unable to make any additional commentary in relation to this matter in light of pending law enforcement investigations," Salido said in a statement. "Obviously, the club fully admonishes the senseless act of violence that occurred yesterday." A law enforcement source noted that at the time of the shooting, the gunman was wearing a shirt that apparently read, Demolition Ranch, a popular gun-related YouTube channel with over 11 million subscribers? What was his motive? We do not currently have identified motive, said Kevin Rojic, FBI Pittsburgh special agent in charge, at a briefing late Saturday night. A law enforcement official said early Sunday that there are no foreign terrorism ties known at this time, and the suspect was not on the radar of law enforcement, although they are still running his name down. There was also no indication that Crooks ever had a connection to any military branch, officials confirmed to CBS News. Okay. Crooks' political leanings were not immediately clear. Records show he was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania, but previously made a $15 donation to a Democratic-aligned group, KDKA reported. A law enforcement official said early Sunday that the Secret Service and the FBI are investigating the suspect's background and speaking with his family. The FBI has secured his home, and federal law enforcement is searching his family's residence in suburban Pittsburgh, the law enforcement official said. An FBI official said the family of the shooter is cooperating with investigators. FBI officials said reporters during a press call Sunday afternoon that determining the motive is the primary objective of the agency's investigation, but no ideology has been identified as a motive so far. Officials also said there was no indication of Crooks having mental health issues. Crooks did have a social media presence, the FBI official said. Agents are combing through his posts and emails, but have found nothing so far that reveals a motive or anything threatening. The investigation so far has indicated that Crooks acted alone and there is no continued threat. The agency also has Crooks' cell phone and is working to gain access to his contents. Meanwhile, the public has submitted over 2,000 tips to the FBI for examination. What weapon did he have? The gunman was armed with a semi-automatic AR-style rifle. Multiple law enforcement sources said. ATF is tracing the weapon. Two law enforcement sources told CBS News on Sunday the gun was legally purchased by and registered to the shooter's father, Matthew Crooks. The gunman opened fire from the roof of a shed outside of the cordoned-off rally area about 400 feet from the stage, multiple sources said. A law enforcement source confirmed Sunday that suspicious devices were found in the gunman's vehicle. CBS News has learned the shooter had a device in his possession that appeared to be capable of triggering those suspicious devices. Oh, wow. Bomb technicians called to the scene were involved in securing and investigating the devices. So what was his total plan? Because so far they haven't found a motive, which naturally you have to continue to dig and prod through people's, personal business, conversations, emails, text messages. What was the whole plan of yesterday's events? Curious to know. And once again, motive. Some people won't even care about a motive because most people, feel like, well, what he did was wrong, so it won't matter what his motive was and who he was tied into, political affiliations and or ideologies. Okay, so we have suspicious devices that were found in the vehicle. And in his possession appeared to be capable of triggering those suspicious devices. So was he going to detonate his car? So then you have to ask, where was the car parked? Trump said in a social media post that a bullet pierced the upper part of his right ear. He was checked at a local hospital before leaving the area under Secret Service protection and flying to New Jersey later Saturday night. Trump's Secret Service detail was given additional assets that are part of the protocol for the presumptive nominee due to his heavy campaigning, which includes additional manpower, counter sniper drones, and robotic dogs, the law enforcement official said. On Saturday, there were 4 counter sniper teams on the site. So that's information I'm sure many people would be curious. Well, then if you had sniper people around, and allegedly from what I was listening to earlier in news content, they walk the perimeter. So one's going to assume, well, you say you walk the perimeter where those outbuildings were, where the shooter was on top of, and obviously they didn't find a threat. Now stand corrected if that information they repeated isn't right. Okay. Additionally, Trump's teleprompter is protective, and the flag and podium banners are made of steel, the law enforcement official said. Additionally, in a statement Sunday morning, U.S. Secret Service spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi said the agency recently added protective resources and capabilities to the former president's security detail. It said any suggestion that they had rebuffed a request for more security is absolutely false, because now we have some he said, she said about some rebuffing on part of Trump and Trump's team, and you hear here that that is not true. The U.S. Secret Service takes threats seriously, and it takes actions based on those threats as warranted, he said. The U.S. Secret Service is constantly evaluating the very dynamic threat environment and responding to it in the fulfillment of its responsibilities. The FBI is leading the investigation into the shooting. On Sunday, President Biden said he has ordered an independent review into what took place. What did the witnesses see? One man who was at the rally said that soon after Trump started speaking, he saw a man bear crawling up a building. "We're pointing at the guy," said the witness named Greg. "He had a rifle. You could literally see him with a rifle," he told the BBC, and he and others told the police, and were pointing him out to the U.S. Secret Service agents. He estimated that the man was on the roof for 3 or 4 minutes before shots were heard. Other witnesses told CBS Pittsburgh station KDKA that they also saw the gunman and tried to alert officers before the shooting. CBS News is the source. So what we have here is a Caucasian male who is no longer alive, shot by a sniper, crawling on top of a building, obviously made his way up there, lied in wait for the former president to speak. He shot at the president, ear was grazed, blood came down naturally. Another spectator is no longer alive, and 2 other men are in critical condition. Do not know their names or if their statuses have been upgraded or downgraded. Once again, prayers to the wounded and prayers to the decedents. The decedents, I believe, has 2 girl children. Went to church every day, what I've heard from the news, and allegedly a decent citizen. You also hear in this commentary people who went to school with Mr. Crooks. And only one person has something negative to say in this commentary, because that's expected. Everyone has a different version of a person. The one negative thing said is that he was bullied in school, but the other persons who spoke basically said he was a quiet kid, stayed to himself, never bothered anybody, never said a harsh word about anyone, and did have friends in school. Also tried out for the rifle team freshman year, but did not make it, and never sought to try to get on the rifle team. So obviously he's had a penchant for guns, desired guns, which that was his choice. And then later he gets access to his father's gun, because they say this gun that was used at the scene is registered to Mr. Matthew Crooks, the father. So he's had a desire for guns, liking guns. That's obvious. Tried out for the team, didn't make it. Was he upset at some point, not ever making that team? Don't know. But fast forward many years later, gets a gun and goes and shoots a former president at a rally. So naturally people do ask why, because that is what people do. They're questioning the motive, the motivations behind an act of violence. You'll probably never get to the truth, because everybody doesn't readily speak on their thoughts of why they want to do something. So now you have to go see who are his friends, who did he talk to, did he keep a journal, Did he take notes in his phone? Did he write down anything? Did he spew a lot of rhetoric about this or that? The place he worked as a dietary aide, what was his demeanor at work? Who did he talk to? Was he friends with anybody there? Any reprimands at his job? Who are his parents? Because all that matters too, how he was raised. Because 20 years old, still considered a kid in the eye of some legal adult, but still may have, childlike behavior. We've learned a lot of guys don't mature as quickly as women. So you got to ask his demeanor at home. What type of child was he? Is he the only child? Did he actually live at the house with his parents? What was his demeanor at the house? Did he get along with his family? If he has siblings, did he get along with them? Was he a problem in the neighborhood? See, there are thousands of questions you can ask about the demeanor and the disposition of Mr. Crooks. But so far, you haven't heard anything nefarious pertaining to high school. And that's only just a few people's commentary. What you have to wait now is to hear who was actually a best friend, good buddy, female, male, and then who he's talked to recently. The fact that he just graduated from a school is discerning or troublesome to some, depending on your outlook on this matter. You've just got some type of certificate. He held down a job, so he did work. So now you're going to ask yourself, well, what happened from May up until July yesterday? What went on from getting the certificate in school to what transpired in Butler, Pennsylvania? How did he talk? How did he act? Happy, sad, depressed, high-strung? Has he been in trouble before? Did he get on with the neighbors? Who are his parents? Because see, all the things I've talked about on this network goes back to childhood. How you're raised, how you taught. I made that clear in my live last night. That everybody's journey is not the same. Everyone's ideology isn't the same. You also hear that he's registered as a Republican, but he's donated to a Democratic fund or whatever, which that's his choice. You're entitled to send your money wherever you see fit. And that's the one thing people don't seem to understand. People do coincide with other nationalities, political affiliations. It's not always just, well, I'm a Democrat, I only fool with Democrats, or I'm a Republican, I only fool with Republican situations, people. It's not really logical anyway, because you meet people all the time and you may not even know what their political affiliation, but you might be cool with them. You might speak to them, or, you might sit with them at lunch at work and politics doesn't come up. There are many people who do bring up politics because they want people to know how they ride. And I'm always leery of people who have to throw out who they ride with, because I feel like you're basically wanting somebody to know, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. I always find that off-putting. Because to me, you're telling me you don't want me to get to know you as a human first. You want me to judge you, what? According to your political affiliation. And as I said, there are a lot of people who are like this. They have to tell you, I'm this, I'm that. So you're saying, okay, well, can I just get to know you as, Susie or Dick or John? Everybody is living their own way. What else will be revealed? This is so many things to say and ask. When you think about a 20-year-old exacting this type of crime, you question the mindset. So then you ask if he has had, any mental issues, or he was lucid as all get out. He knew exactly what he was doing, didn't have any malfunctions, defuncts, deficits, but he had a reason. And naturally, you don't crawl on top of a building with an AR-15 rifle because you're bored. But once again, everything's about perception. So was he an active Republican? Or had he switched political affiliations or ideologies? Don't know. Will it matter? Don't know. His parents have to be devastated because now their life is going to be uprooted because of what their son has done. And they have to now live with knowing their son whether they even like Donald Trump or not, attempted to unalive him yesterday in Pennsylvania. That's a heavy burden to carry. And naturally, people can't be judged according to, or shouldn't be judged according to what their children do, family members do, but people judge them, especially when people start talking and gossiping, because that's coming next. The he said and the she said. We're getting ready to hear from mama, daddy, cousin, auntie, people who work with the parents, the neighbor across the street, the girl at the Starbucks. You're getting ready to hear all of that now. Every little thing that these people ever did, you're getting ready to hear. And it's going to turn just like what it is up here on YouTube. It's going to leave the focus of Mr. Crooks and these victims, who are the most important. It will be about Pookie, Ray Ray, Bubba, what they did in 1912. That's where this is going to go. That's where this is going to go. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. That's where this is going to go. I'm not holding long. I just wanted to give you a brief update pertaining to what has been divulged pertaining to Mr. Crooks, who he is, his school status. A few people have come forward to speak about his demeanor in high school. We will see if he has any other friends that will give us information pertaining to his disposition before this event in Butler, Pennsylvania. As I said, I suspect to hear a lot of rhetoric in the next coming weeks and months pertaining to his parents, how they raised him, their dispositions, because you're gonna have to ask those questions as well. Did he get along with his family? What type of values did they teach him? What type of rhetoric did they teach him? Were they active Republican voters or were they not? What were their opinions of Donald Trump? All that's going to come into play. And as I said, their life is now going to be, uprooted. It's going to be a problem because they now got to be able to walk around in the world as those parents, as those people that raised that kid that shot at the former president and killed a man. So what you have to ask yourself about the devices, you got to ask yourself, what was his end goal, end game? Did he want to go out in a blazing fire? If so, why? Why this man? Why this day? Why? The fact that he was able to get up on top of that building, that is the number one question, besides just the motive, who he is. People saying, oh, I saw him crawling up there, blah, blah, blah. Then we've got the photographs been released to the public of him lying there deceased on top of the metal roof. How did he get up there? Why was there no one watching that area? That's going to come into scrutiny. And Mr. Biden has exacted an order to be information to be dissected pertaining to security on the ground. And there you have it. This is what I find interesting is that, was this the first attempt on Mr. Trump's life? Because we have not heard of anyone shooting at an arena or function, to my knowledge, while he ran for office 16 and thereafter becoming the president of the United States. So what I find interesting with all the rhetoric that Mr. Trump has spewed out over the years, because my God, it has been a lot. The fact that no one attempted to do what this 20-year-old, I must say, is interesting. It's quite interesting. Quite interesting. And naturally, there will be a lot of negative things said pertaining to what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. I have uploaded content, and I will say before I check out of here, I find the behavior of the people at the rally bizarre. As I said, I've been in situations where people were shooting, and I guess some might compare me to those people at the rally. I didn't have any fear. The two incidents where I've been around gunfire, I did not, because I leaned on faith. Maybe some of those people leaned on faith, but I just think it's interesting how in a situation where I'm somewhere where they're shooting, was upstairs in a building, everybody's ducking down. I didn't duck. I just sat up right at the bar. I didn't move. I didn't flinch because I knew, I don't know, my spirit just told me he's not coming down here. He's running out the door, which he did. He's already out the door by the time everybody ducked down. Second incident, years ago, altercation between a woman and somebody. She pulled out sawed-off rifle started shooting, and I was walking down the street, people were running. Get out of the way, Angie, get out of the way. I kept walking. I didn't flinch. But I guess something about yesterday's events is weird to me, because all the hoorah and clapping, he's raising his fist up. Some people are like, well, he's letting people know he's okay, but it's still bizarre to me. You know why it's bizarre to me? Because somebody lost their life and 2 other people are in the hospital. So what do you think they're thinking right now, fighting for their life in the hospital? It's not funny to them. They're not raising their fist up. I'm just saying, keeping it real. Well, they had to know there were gunshots because they were ducking. Come on now. The gunshots went off more than once. So at some point, people realized they were gunshots. I'm just saying the behavior of once you realize they were gunshots, once you saw that Trump was hit, I just don't get all the roaring and the clapping. That's just strange to me. I've never seen that in nowhere I've lived. Whether people like this person or that person, they're at a function, they're at a party, they're at a barbecue. I ain't never seen no shit like this before in my life. Well, it must be funny to him. Because even after trying to get Mr. Trump down the stairs, he's too busy still trying to raise his fist up. So hell yeah, I could say I think he thought it was funny. Somebody died in that audience. 2 other people were shot. People had their children there. And you're too busy trying to raise your hand up to show, yeah, I'm alive. Well, somebody didn't live. How about that? Somebody that was supporting him didn't live. 2 other people got shot. And by the grace of God, that guy didn't decide to just spray the whole area, because he could have done that. And the fact that he had explosives should tell you his mindset. So I don't think some people thought it was a serious situation. That's my opinion. It's in the details. All you have to do is watch. Maybe you should rewatch the video. That's the whole point of what I'm talking about the world. Everybody's perception is not the same. What I see, you don't see. I didn't see that people even thought it was that serious. Some of them, there might have been some people there who did think this was serious, such as the people they filmed that were running and trying to get to their car and get out of the way. Those were the people who thought it was serious. But all that clapping and jumping up and throwing up fists and hands was bizarre to me. That's my opinion. And then trying to get him down the stairs. He acted like he didn't want to go down the stairs. Then they got the caption of him at the car. They're literally having to force this man to get in a vehicle bleeding. And he's still wanting to pump his fist. You think that is decent behavior? And there's a man dead. They had to blur him out, bringing him down the rafters. And so people couldn't see who the dead man is. That was a real dead person who went there to support Donald Trump. The other 2 men who are in the hospital fighting for life, they went there to support Donald Trump. And I don't think many people realize the seriousness of what happened yesterday. The cheering and the going on and on. Okay, you're glad that Donald Trump didn't die, but somebody did die. That's the point. Somebody died there. So while everybody thinking it's a joke that Trump, he's made of steel. Somebody's stupid comment yesterday. The ignorance of it all. Somebody's getting ready to bury another man. Somebody's got to make provisions for a dead man. That's the point. You may be a Trump supporter. That is your choice. You're happy he's alive. That is your choice. But somebody didn't make it home yesterday. 2 other people didn't make it home yesterday. That's the point. That's why I made sure to acknowledge them first in this live stream before telling you who Mr. Crooks was. Because 2 people are in the hospital and another one is no longer alive. For their choice to go to a rally, that was their choice, to go there to support Mr. Trump. But I don't think they thought they would die or be fighting for breath at a rally. Now, second question. What will Biden's review find? Will there be fault? Will there be accountability for what took place in Butler, Pennsylvania? Okay? Will there be any accountability? Will somebody say, yes, we as the Secret Service, the director, whoever was in charge, say, yes, we made a mistake. This happened. We walked through. We looked at everything. You understand what I'm saying? What will the review find? And if the review finds that the Secret Service was at fault, will there be accountability? Will there be some shuffling and moving around? What will happen? Because in the end, this is the national government. So will they take any type of responsibility that all areas were not watched from start to finish? There you have it. So we will wait to see what the review will reveal. If there be any accountability, if the review will say that, yes, areas were not man, woman properly. And also, will there be lawsuits? And who will those people sue? Because that's another thing. Because beside there being Secret Service on the ground, there was also state troopers and local law enforcement. There you have it. Well, once again, I can see from this live stream the very reason why what happened yesterday happened. I'm just going to keep it real. Honestly. Nothing shocks me at this point in life. Absolutely nothing. The behavior of people, behavior of politicians, behavior of random citizens, and behavior of people commenting. And then everybody likes to point fingers to say who is right and who is wrong. That's why I put up a picture of Mr. Crooks on my page. And I asked people, is that you? Because right now people will be pointing the fingers at Mr. Crooks as the shooter. But the reason why I put his picture up on my community page, because there's a double standard pertaining to a lot of ways, the way we think. What I said was, while you are assuming this and this about him and why he shot at Mr. Trump and murdered this man and injured 2 other people and endangered the lives of the people who were there, that's Secret Service, state troopers, all the people that were on the ground, spectators. Some of you and Republican supporters were okay with violence exacted at these rallies, violence toward counter protesters, people who didn't agree with Trump or whomever. You're all for that violence. You're all for the violence that took place at the Capitol. Because I could go put a poll up right now, and it'll probably be really shocking for those who condone that behavior there. So the point I'm trying to make is the same daggers that are being thrown at this 20-year-old for shooting at Mr. Trump and these people, unaliving a person, will be the same people who think it's okay to exact violence at the rallies, beat up other protesters, storm the gate at the Capitol. That's my point. That's why I put his picture up there, to make a point. Are you Matthew Crooks? Because you can't have it both ways. Because it's easy for everybody to get up and say, you are entitled to speak your mind. You entitled to lie, cheat, steal, rob, talk nasty, belittle people, ask for a vote, put negativity into the universe without any repercussions. But nobody has a right to shoot you because of what you've done or said. It's wrong. It's wrong. That's what's been said all yesterday. It's wrong. Don't do that. It's wrong. But then some of you are the same people who think it was okay to beat up a federal security officer at the Capitol a few years ago. Yes, let's jog our memory back. He was up there doing his job. He had a life. He may have had a family to feed, to take care of. You think he got up and went to work and thought he was going to get beat down or murdered by some Republican supporters? So that's why I asked the question. If you're going to judge the shooter, you might want to take a look at yourself. Because some of you support what happened at the Capitol, and you support the violence that took place at the Capitol, and what took place at the Capitol and at these Republican rallies is no different than that boy shooting at the Trump rally yesterday. And that's what people don't seem to understand. It's a double-edged sword. Because you cannot be a Trump supporter and be mad about what this boy did and then be the same person to condone breaking and entering a federal building, taking and stealing things off a politician's desk, breaking items in a federal building. You know that's a crime. And that was not right. That was not right. And many people feel like Mr. Trump incited that nonsense. So that's my point, is that a lot of people do not want to own you are 2 minutes away from being a Matthew Crooks. That's my point. That it's easy to judge and say, no, I would never do that. No, I wouldn't do that. No, I have my opinion. Oh, but I would never shoot anyone. Oh, no, I'd never go get a rifle and crawl on top of a building. But you would condone somebody storming the gate and trampling over people and unaliving security at the Capitol and breaking and entering into a federal building. Because you see, you can't have one without the other. Because one thing begets another. And that's what people don't seem to understand about your behavior and your tongue. Your tongue can get you hurt. Your behavior can get you hurt. Who you support and who you rally can get you hurt. I talk about this all the time. It's that many people don't want to own their part. Because it's just easy to say, well, we'll point fingers. What he did was wrong. What she did was wrong. But what you don't understand is that there's a jump off. There is a jump off to how you behave and how you carry yourself. And no, nobody should shoot or kill you because you have an opinion. But what is it that you're saying? See, nobody wants to address that. What is it that you're saying on your tongue, opinion or not? Did it not occur to you that what you say on your tongue and how you treat people can get you 6 feet under? And you do not have to be Donald Trump to get shot at. That's my point. We are in dire times. And I was thinking today, it will probably, I don't see it getting any better. I don't see it getting any better because we have a lot of radical thinking people. And the one thing I have learned and what I have seen the past couple of years with Mr. Trump running for office and winning the office is that a lot of people don't want to own their part in what they participate in. They only want to scoop certain things under the rug and say, well, that ain't me. I didn't do that. But you have to own what you endorse. Because at some point, as we love to group all Democrats the same, which is not true. You love to group all Republicans the same, which is not true. It's no different. Then you rally for these people. There are people who judge you according to what that person did or what somebody said. You'll see it in the comments under articles. Anything that happens politically, it's always them. Them Republicans, them Democrats. So why are you judging everybody the same because you don't like a Democrat, you don't like a Republican? Now, something happens, it's always that them. You can't judge everybody the same. Whatever happened with Bill Clinton in his life or while he was in the White House, what does that have to do with Queen? Nothing. Same thing with Obama, Biden, his son, drug charges. That didn't have nothing to do with Biden. But people make it about Biden. So if something happened with Trump's sister, brother, cousin, somebody's mad at Trump about something his sister or cousin did. That's the point I'm trying to make. You can't loop everybody in the same category because you don't like somebody. And it's never going to change. Just like all the speeches that were given yesterday, from Biden to the governor of Pennsylvania, it's like talking to a wall. Because nobody really cares. And it's obvious. Because right after this event, people are still not going to change their mindset on grouping everybody the same. I don't group everybody the same. I could talk to you and you're a Republican or independent. I'm judging you according to who you are right at that moment without knowing how you rock. But you get to talking all crazy people talk and combative. I don't want to deal with you. So you've been a Republican, an independent, a Democrat, don't vote. It don't even matter to me. But everybody's not like that. And everybody that say that they do, they're a lie. Because a lot of you do judge people according to their political affiliation, and you don't see past go. As soon as they tell you they're a Democrat, you all over them. White on rights, want to fight. Oh, he's a Republican. Well, I ain't fooling with him. I live in a red state. So most of the people around here, you know, especially a lot of Caucasian people, they vote Republican. But I don't go up to white people asking, hey, are you Republican? Hey, are you Republican? But I tell you what I don't like is every time you go out into the street, that's the topic of conversation. Because when Obama was in office, it was always something about Obama. Somebody always had something negative to say. Why are you saying it around me? Oh, because I'm black, you assume I voted for him? You don't know how I voted. You don't even know if I vote or not. That's the shit I'm talking about. That irks the fuck out of me. It's the assumption. Because there are a lot of people who vote for Trump, support Trump. They are all different races. They are black, they're white. So that's why you don't assume. You don't assume. And I don't walk out in the street talking about Donald Trump or talking about Biden, because I don't talk politics. Because it's pointless. It's absolutely pointless. I want to be judged according to who I am. Because in the end, when I leave here, I'm going to dust. And it won't matter about being a Democrat, a liberal, a Republican. That ain't going to have nothing to do with me 6 feet under. And when I go stand account to the Lord, he ain't worried about how I voted. We live in a judgmental society. So just like I'm listening to all of this rhetoric about don't do this, don't say this, it's wrong to be violent. Well, we're killing each other every day out here. Murdering people for no reason. Murdering children for no reason. What's the remedy for that when it's not about Donald Trump? What about the violence, period? Because people are hurting each other every day. And it's white people killing white people, black people killing black people, Mexicans killing Mexicans, Jews killing Jews. And the speech goes in one ear and out the other because people are oblivious. They're dead inside. They're dead inside. Mr. Biden is going to be speaking to the public about these events yesterday. 1 second, everybody. I thought I was going to jump off of here before 8 o'clock. There I go. One second, everybody. Okay, I was looking for the upcoming address.
Exposed to some injury.
Isaac, I understand that after that happened, the crowd got pretty upset at the media who was there. What does that tell you about how this week could go here in Milwaukee?
Well, I mean, some of it was, there's always an element of that at Trump rallies, and in this instance, like as people were turning around to walk out, the press is who they saw, and so some people started taking it out on them. or on us. But I think that that's another, that's a key question of whether that's going to continue to be stoked the way it has been stoked for years at this point, or if people are going to be trying to turn the page on that and tamp that down.
All right, Isaac Ornsdorf, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Appreciate your time. We're just a few moments away from Joe Biden, President Biden, making a speech from the Oval Office, so please do stay with us because we will bring that to you live and then we'll have some analysis afterwards. Rhonda, what do you expect to hear from President Biden tonight as we all take in all that we're learning from people like Isaac and Jabin, eyewitnesses who were on the scene there? What is President Biden's job tonight?
Well, I think we might be able to take some hints from his early remarks today. He did talk about making sure that the full weight of the Secret Service was behind the RNC, that it was here, that it was also with Trump going forward. He also talked about an independent review that would take place into the events and the security measures, whether there were lapses, and he also said that would be shared with the American people. I think we're going to hear maybe some of those logistics, but I think overall he's going to be that consoler in chief, as he was called early on in his term, where right after COVID and the nation needed sort of a reassuring voice, he kind of fell into that. And he often shares his stories of loss and personal loss. So I think he's also going to try to bring that across to Americans, especially since the setting is the Oval Office. That's a very poignant place to do something like this. So I think he is going to try to rise to this moment, try to use it to unify. He did use the word unity a lot so far. So I think that's what we're going to hear. James?
This is happening against the backdrop of a bunch of Democrats in his own party who've called on him to drop. And the president has said he's not going anywhere. And I think what he's trying to accomplish tonight is rising above. He wants to be presidential. He is very comfortable in this role as consoler in chief, just like when we saw him at the NATO press conference. He's very comfortable in his kind of statesman role. This is something that does suit him. Presidents used to do these Oval Office addresses a lot more because people used to watch TV in prime time, before people kind of cut the cord. But it sort of declined in the Obama era because it felt like you were sort of weighed down by the office. The office was almost bigger than the person who was delivering the speech. But this is a situation where the president clearly wants the office to be what he's speaking from. And I do think that what's happened, literally right before he went to Mass yesterday, where just when President Trump got hit, he was on a call with congressional moderates, and Jason Crow from Colorado, a Democrat, was saying, "You're going to have to quit. This isn't going to work." And I do think the president is trying to show leadership here in a way that not just appeals to people who are anxious, as you were using that word so well earlier, but also his own party to show I am in command. I can handle the burdens of the presidency because this is a burden. Ultimately, as you know too, the Secret Service reports to him, so it's this tough thing. I think in Biden's head, this could happen to him just as easily, that this could have happened to anyone. I think it's one of those things where when you're in the arena, when you're in public service, this is obviously it's every spouse's worst nightmare. And so I think, in kind of pinging some lawmakers today in both parties, there is this sort of, it feels very personal to them, that it's not just about Donald Trump, but that it's about, this isn't an attack on Trump, this is an attack on democracy. It's an attack on our kind of raucous system of having big open public events and give and take. And we don't want to lose that. And I think President Biden tonight will try to reach for our humanity, but also our shared civic pride.
Part of the question will be how receptive is the audience, the American audience, to that message, to hearing it from the commander-in-chief, the president, to hearing it from a presidential candidate, and how will people in this room tomorrow feel about that message. We are broadcasting live from Milwaukee right now. This hall will be full and bursting to the seams just 24 hours from now as the convention really gets underway and everyone here prepares to celebrate Donald Trump's acceptance of the Republican nomination. But tonight is a very different night because we'll all be listening to President Biden speak to us in just a moment from the Oval Office. It's an unprecedented moment, Rhonda. As we prepare to head to the Oval in about 1 minute, final thoughts from you as we get ready to listen.
I'm thinking about all the voters that I've spoken with in the last, the last few years. And there is one commonality that comes to mind. A lot of them say, I wish the rhetoric would just turn down. A lot of people are unhappy with politics, Republicans and Democrats. They're just tired of it. They're tired of just waking up every day and seeing such negative headlines about politicians and not knowing which side to, believe or just, sit it out. We've been doing so much reporting on there are people in the middle who are saying this year, I'm just not going to vote because I don't think politicians have my interest in mind and they're, it's a nasty business now. So I'm thinking about people across the country I've spoken with who've just said,
Our fellow Americans,
Who's coming out of the White House?
I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke to him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero, sheltering his family from those bullets. We should all hold his family and all those injured in our prayers. Earlier today, I spoke about an ongoing investigation. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support, or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals, as I speak, are investigating those questions. Tonight, I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against the sitting governor, or an attempted assassination on Donald Trump. There's no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. The political record of this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high. I've said it many times that the choice in this election, we make in this election, is going to shape the future of America and the world for decades to come. I believe that with all my soul. I know that millions of my fellow Americans believe it as well. And some have a different view as to the direction our country should take. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of human nature. Politics must never be a literal battlefield, or God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace. All of us now face the time of testing as the election approaches. The higher the stakes, the more fervent the passion become. This places an added burden on each of us to ensure that no matter how strong our convictions, we must never descend into violence. Republican convention will start tomorrow. I have no doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and vision, my vision for the country, our vision. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution, the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. That's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of would-be assassins. You know, the path forward through competing visions of the campaign should always be resolved peacefully, not through acts of violence. You know, we're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to make America, think about it. What's made America so special? Here in America, everyone must be treated with dignity and respect, and hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos, where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this. You know, from the beginning, our founders understood the power of passion, so they created democracy that gave reason and balance a chance to prevail over brute force. That's the America we must be. American democracy, where arguments are made in good faith. American democracy, where the rule of law is respected. American democracy, where decency, dignity, fair play aren't just quaint notions, but living, breathing realities. We owe that to those who come before us, to those who gave their lives for this country. We owe that to ourselves. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren. Look, let's never lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
President Biden speaking from the Oval Office, striking a tone of humility, but also intention, saying it is time to cool it down, that disagreement is inevitable, but that it should never rise to violence. It was a little bit of politics, but a lot of a presidential message calling on the American people not to normalize violence and instead try to work towards peaceful elections. I'm Libby Casey. You're watching live coverage from the Washington Post. I'm with Rhonda Colvin and James Hohman. Rhonda, initial reactions to President Biden's speech.
It was much of what we had expected and had discussed, that he was going to try to strike this tone to try to bring the temperature down. He did kind of do a little campaigning in there as well and talked about, his vision as well. I think one striking thing he did was list some of the attacks that have happened to other politicians. Some things people may have forgotten. With the Michigan governor, who there was the plot to kidnap her. There was the attack on Speaker Pelosi's husband. I mean, there were so many when you think of it, and it happened on both sides of the aisle. But overall, I think that this was a moment where he feels like he must get in front of the cameras, the American people, and discuss the moment we're in. And I was also thinking, too, political violence has been a big part of his first term. It's been all over the place. I'm thinking about when we covered Merrick Garland's confirmation here in the Senate, when he was picked to be in his role. I remember part of it was because of January 6th, and he was seen as someone who would be able to address extremism. I've covered on the Hill when Christopher Wray has testified to members of Congress that political extremism is getting over the top as a concern. So it's also striking, too, that this is probably going to be a part of Joe Biden's legacy overall when you look back years from now, how he dealt with political violence.
James, it was interesting. The way that President Biden spoke about this, he talked about, it's unacceptable to see a planned kidnapping of a governor, the attack of a speaker's husband. It's like they were symbols, not a specific name, but it could have been anyone, right?
Exactly.
Those happen to be Democrats, didn't have to be Democrats. But then he did talk about Donald Trump, of course, by name and personally.
Yeah, but I think he sort of modeled good behavior in terms of rhetoric. So one of the things, having watched Biden a lot the last couple of weeks, coming out of the debate in Detroit and Wisconsin and some other places, he has been saying Donald Trump is a dire threat to democracy. He said on Monday that we need to put Donald Trump in a bullseye. And today he had a line, he said, the higher the stakes, the more fervent the passion. And that gets to what our colleague Dan Bowles was talking about beforehand, which is there are a lot of Republicans who are sort of frustrated because if you feel like this is going to be the last election ever, it makes it makes extremists more likely to try to take things into their own hands. And so I think Biden was actually practicing what he was preaching tonight, where he said elections can't be killing fields. You have to have action at the ballot box, and getting us to recommit. It was kind of a pay on to the American Democratic small d process. And, it was a short and sweet speech that I think, obviously wasn't too partisan, but didn't downplay the very real differences that do exist between Trump and Biden. And he even sort of previewed that a little bit by saying, you're going to hear them attack my record. That's okay. That's the way the system is supposed to work. And I think that that's a message a lot of Americans need to hear, because people have gotten not just so angry, we know about the anger, but the way they talk about the other side is dehumanizing. Melania Trump actually put out, I thought, a very poignant statement today that it really sounded like she wrote herself, where she talked about how her husband has been dehumanized. And, I think a lot of Democrats would say, well, Donald Trump has dehumanized the other side. But the point is there has been this dehumanization. And maybe this is an unfortunate, unwelcome chance to lower the temperature. And, I heard a few minutes ago that the chairman of the DNC, Jamie Harrison, called the chairman of the RNC, Michael Whately, and said, how can we work together? And we'll see how long it lasts, right? Maybe it won't last very long. But it feels like there's this moment of opportunity where maybe as a country we can heal some of these wounds that have opened up these last couple of years, as you've been talking about, where political violence has become so commonplace.
Yeah. I was also thinking too, Joe Biden comes from a time where, senators would go to lunch or to dinner with a person from the opposing party. I was talking to a member of Congress last week who said he was a Democrat. He went to dinner with a Republican, and the Republican got in trouble from a few of his colleagues who said, what were you doing at dinner with him?
Right.
And he said, that's not how it used to be. And I was thinking Joe Biden came from that world too. Yeah. And perhaps
he's done funeral addresses for so many Republicans, because it's a different way. You're so right, Rhonda. It's a different way of thinking about politics, right? It stops at the dinner table.
As he said, get out of your silos. And it's true, a lot of people are very siloed these days.
So the president talked about what we do know, and he went into the concerns that he has about the political temperature and trying to be a more civil society. But before that, he talked about some of what we don't know. And those are answers to the motives of the shooter, some of the puzzles that law enforcement is going to be trying to untangle in the coming hours, days, weeks, and perhaps even months. Let's just talk a little bit about the role that the Secret Service is playing in this moment, James, and what questions linger there.
It was interesting because he said we don't know the motive. Well, we don't know whether he had help or support, which is interesting because the FBI a few hours ago in a public briefing said that he did act alone. He appeared to have acted alone. But there's obviously so much. The FBI has gotten hold of his phone. We're told that the family of the shooter is fully cooperating. The gun that he used, an AR-style rifle, was purchased legally by the father. The government has said it's not. There's no indication that it was sort of a straw purchase where the dad was buying it so his son could have it. So there's, but I think Biden is right. We don't know the ideology. You think back to the Kennedy assassination. Thank God this was not an assassination. Even now, 60 years later, a lot of people think that Lee Harvey Oswald is connected to right-wing extremism because that was the narrative coming out of the Kennedy assassination. But it turned out that Lee Harvey Oswald had actually gone to Cuba and had a lot of left-wing views and was angry at JFK sort of from the left for his meddling in Cuba. But because it was Dallas and it's a conservative area, this narrative sort of took hold. And you said it so well earlier, Rhonda. You don't want to jump to conclusions. You want the facts to be in. And you have to be so careful as we talk about these things and write about these things because we don't know what the motive was. And some speculation is inevitable, but it's just so important to be careful and to let some of those facts come in and not just kind of rush to judgment or make assumptions based on what you would assume someone who would shoot at Donald Trump would think about the world. And so I think that was part of the humble tone that you were talking about, Libby, that the president said right at the top of that address.
Rhonda, the Secret Service has been questioned about the security here. We are, a reminder, at the Republican National Convention site in Milwaukee. You can see this sort of cavernous empty space behind us, but it will be full of people and voices and noise tomorrow. The Secret Service has said they're not changing their plan, that they have a plan in place and they're sticking with it.
Yeah.
And they're getting critical questions for that.
They are getting critical questions. There's concern even that there is an area around the Fiserv Forum where we're at where you can carry firearms. And in light of yesterday's events, you're wondering, are we going to rethink that? How are changes going to be made? But for now, they say they are sticking to all the plans they've had in place. And, we haven't had conventions like this for a few years now because the last two were, because of COVID, they were virtual. So people may forget that planning for this happens over the course of a couple of years. Local planning, federal planning, the Secret Service, of course, heads up a lot of the security apparatus. But last night when this news broke and I came downtown to this area, you could sense that security was a big focus now. And that looms large right now over the attendees and the rest of the week.
Yeah, totally. More than 40 law enforcement agencies involved in this. And we just walking in to the arena saw so many different state troopers from all over the country. It does feel, this is my 10th convention that I'm covering.
How old are you, James Feldman?
But there's just more of a, it kind of actually in some ways feels like the post 9/11 conventions, where the security is just more on edge. People are more aggressive about checking your credentials, that kind of thing. And I think that's okay. Tom Cotton, the Republican.
I'm going to interject briefly just to give you all a synopsis of the questions that I asked on the community page pertaining to yesterday's events in Butler, Pennsylvania. Will there be admittal of lax behavior by Secret Service, local police at Trump rally? Do you think there will be another attempt on Donald Trump? Has Trump caused himself to be dehumanized by the public? As you heard here, Ivanka Trump has said that he's been dehumanized. His last wife, Ms. Trump, says her ex has been dehumanized. Do you agree, disagree? With the attack in Butler, Pennsylvania, will more people activate? Same on politicians. Will politics rhetoric tone down? Does Trump take the attempt on his life serious? Do you condone stampede on Capitol a few years ago? Are you a Trump supporter? Do you vote? Those are the questions on my community page. Thank you for joining me. We're now listening to the Vault Excel. Mr. Biden, President Biden has spoken pertaining to the crime exacted in Butler, Pennsylvania against Trump and others. One person has perished. 2 other men are in the hospital. And this is the start of a new presidential race. What will happen now in America?
Senator from Arkansas said earlier today, this hall right here is going to be the safest place to be in America this week because no one's going to take any chances.
Well, we will be broadcasting all week from here in the Fiserv Forum here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the site of the Republican National Convention, which marches forward. We know that Donald Trump has arrived here and he's slated to accept the nomination later this week. We're also watching to see who he will unveil as his pick for vice president, and we'll be live broadcasting here every night as the convention gets underway. Final thoughts from the two of you as we exit this, again, an unprecedented night, hearing the President of the United States make an address from the Oval Office talking about an assassination attempt on his political rival, but also the former President of the United States. James?
This week is going to be quite a split screen. President Biden is going to go ahead with his interview with NBC's Lester Holt tomorrow, but he's canceled his trip to Austin, Texas. He's going to speak on the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Civil Rights Act at the Lyndon Johnson Presidential Library. But the White House is saying that he still is going to go ahead with plans to travel to Nevada later in the week. Normally, historically, the party that wasn't having the convention was down. They would just kind of it was like kind of one of those old-timey courtesies. Biden's not going to do that, but he's going to have to get the tone right, just as Trump's going to have to get the tone right here. And there is going to be this split screen all week. I think, a lot of times people say, these conventions have become infomercials, whatever. This is going to be must-see TV. The suspense about the VP. I think that Donald Trump's going to get one of the biggest audiences he's ever had when he comes into this arena and addresses the delegates having survived this attempt on his life.
Rhonda?
Yeah, there's the politics of the week. There's all the anticipation that James just laid out. But I also think this is a pretty pivotal week when it comes to the rhetoric in our politics. And I think a lot of Americans are going to look at this week in the days and the weeks ahead to see, does this change anything? There was an opportunity right after January 6th to change things. Things seem to get heightened at certain points, but this week is also going to be looked at for that too. Is anything going to change?
Well, we will be broadcasting live, as James said. It will be must-see TV, but in this case, you can watch it with us. You can watch streaming on the Washington Post homepage, and you can also find us on YouTube. We'll be live every night starting at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Central, which is our new favorite time zone here in Milwaukee. Thank you so much for watching this broadcast with our team at the Washington Post. I'm Libby Casey. We will see you tomorrow night.
All right, everybody. That's content from Washington Post Network. If you're curious, still posting questions to the community page for you to take the polls if you like. Posted my last one. 1 second, everybody. All right, go to the polls. What's your take? Put your vote in. Put in your vote. Voice your opinion underneath the post. If you can comment, if you'd like to comment, feel free to comment. If you don't have a comment, you don't have to comment. That's one thing a lot of people need to understand. You don't have to always comment. You can have to take the poll or don't take the poll. Well, I mean, maybe the father's a hunter. He collects guns. See, we don't know. I'm not here to assume. See, some people will say, why are you all assuming that he bought it for his son? They said it's in his name. He could have already had it. So you don't even know how long they've had the weapon. Could have had the weapon a year. Could have had the weapon 6 months. Don't know. The father could be a collector. Maybe that's why the young boy liked guns. Maybe the father's a collector. Not sure. We don't have that information. I have no idea. You'll never tell who you vote for. Why? Why not? Everybody else don't mind telling their Trump supporters or Biden supporters or non-supporters. It doesn't matter to me if you ever reveal. I don't ask people who they vote for. The poll is anonymous. So if you vote, nobody knows that you vote, that you're a Trump supporter. Nobody's going to know. They're only going to know if you comment below and say that you vote for Trump. Nobody's going to know that. All right, everybody. I'm not going to try to stay on here too long because that live from yesterday was long and a whole nother subject. At the beginning of this live, because I meant to do two separate ones, but my time ran over into Biden speaking, so I went ahead and just kept the live rolling so everybody could hear what President Biden had to say. His commentary was brief. Basically, I iterated what he had already said yesterday. But I brought you information pertaining to Mr. Crooks. Feel free to go back to the beginning of this live stream to get that said information to what's been revealed about him, where he went to high school. A few people have come forward to speak pertaining to his demeanor. They went to high school with him. Bomb squad found devices in his car. Also, they were at his home. I'm assuming he resides with his parents. Not sure. Don't know who all lives in the house. Don't know anything about the weapon, when it was purchased, not purchased. Who? All I know is that it's in the father's name. That's all that's been said. Anything I bring to you, I bring a source. If you have a problem with the information, I instruct you to call them. So if you have a problem with the information, please call CBS News. That's where the source came from pertaining to the information. Naturally, things will evolve as they do more investigations into Mr. Crooks and his life, his blueprint of moving about. We'll wait to see what they have to say. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm going to put the link down. I'll probably regret it, but anyway. As I said, I'm not trying to hold long because I have other content that I'm getting behind on by covering this event that took place in Butler. It's a hot butter mess. A hot butter mess. Take the pulse. Will there be another attempt on his life? Naturally, he's not going to stop campaigning. Getting older, both parties. You would think most people at these age of 80 years of age, most people want to be still. Enjoy your life. You're married. You have children. May want grandchildren. Why not try to enjoy your life? Life is short. As Mr. Trump and others should see from what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania yesterday, life is short. You can't take life for granted. This is not a repeat. What's going on down here on Earth? This is it. No coming back. Funny, smooth. No vote for Queen, honey. I would never run for political office. I wouldn't set myself up for that in a million years. Ever. Take the polls. I've put up a few more questions pertaining to Mr. Trump. Should persons who participated in the break-in and violence on Capitol Hill be arrested? Put that up there as well. We're going to go back in time. Asking you, do you condone what happened at the Capitol Hill years ago? Will there be admittal of lax behavior by Secret Service, local police at Trump rally? A few people voted, 23 people voted. 22% says yes, 52% no, 17% not sure, 9% don't care. Okay. I always put don't care because there are people who don't care, about anything. So that's my new option I sometimes put on the polls. 25 people voted. Do you think there'll be another attempt on Donald Trump's life? 48% yes, 16% no, 20% not sure, most likely, 12% don't care, 4%. Ivanka says he's been dehumanized, Mr. Trump. Do you agree or disagree? 52% yes, 16% no, 32% don't care. Somebody says they don't understand the question. Well, if you don't know what dehumanized means, then you have some serious problems. I don't know else how to explain it to you. All I can say is Google it and then take the vote. Has Trump caused himself to be dehumanized by the public? 46% yes, 42% no, 4% not sure, 8% don't care. With the attack in Butler, Pennsylvania, will more people activate same on politicians? 76% yes, 24% no. Will politics rhetoric tone down? 3% yes, never, 97%. 42 votes. Does Trump take this attempt on his life serious? 48% yes, 40% no, 7% not sure, 5% don't care. Wannabe Sleuthin said, I'm not a Trump fan, but by any means, but if he is afraid, he's good at hiding it. Is he hiding it? That's a very good question. I'm going to put that as a question on the poll. Thank you, Sleuthin. That's a very good question because people don't always let you know how they feel. And I don't see Trump telling anybody he's afraid for his safety. Should he be afraid? That's another question. Well, now. Take the poll. Take the poll. Plural. Take all the polls. All right. Giving you the option. Yes, no, not sure. I'm also going to put he should be. And then the other one would be don't care. Should he be afraid for his safety? Yes, no, not sure. He should be, don't care. Take the poll. Thank you. There's not enough money in the universe. Okay. So we'll put that next question. He should be. Because everything's in the wording, as I've learned. We'll see how you all weigh in. The panel is open if you have something you'd like to say pertaining to the brief information that has been revealed about Mr. Brooks, the shooter, Mr. Biden's commentary, the overall consensus pertaining to this debacle that took place. Oh, thank you, Terry. Weigh in, everybody. Let's get a little bit of information pertaining to the victim in yesterday's shooting. Yes, it is. Crooks. CNN is the source of this information. Firefighter Corey Comparatore, I think it's Comparatore, was killed during the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump, says Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. Comparatore was one of the thousands of people who attended the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, part of Trump's 2024 re-election effort. He died trying to protect his family. According to the governor, Pennsylvania State Police confirmed his identity on Sunday. Authorities have identified the gunman in Saturday's attack as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, that is with a C, who was killed by Secret Service agents at the scene after the shooting. The FBI is investigating the attack as an assassination attempt, the agency said. I just spoke to Corey's wife and Corey's two daughters, Shapiro said Sunday. Corey was a girl dad. Corey was a firefighter. Corey went to church every Sunday. Corey loved his community, most especially Corey loved his family. Corey was an avid supporter of the former president and was so excited to be there last night with him in the community, the governor said. I asked Corey's wife if it would be okay for me to share that we spoke. She said yes. She also asked that I share with all of you that Corey died a hero. Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally. Shapiro said he has directed flags to be flown at half staff in Commeratore's memory. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. In addition to this man who's passed away, 2 people were critically injured in the incident, says Pennsylvania State Police. The names are David Dutch, 57, of New Kensington, Pennsylvania. James Copenhaver, 74, of Moon Township, Pennsylvania, are in stable condition, state police said in a press release. The Marine Corps League of Pennsylvania, Inc. identified Dutch as commandant in their organization's location in Westmoreland County. Vice Commandant Pat Popovich said on Facebook that Dutch underwent 2 surgeries after being shot in the liver and chest. These victims and their families are certainly in our thoughts today, said State Police Commissioner Colonel Christopher Paris. The Pennsylvania State Police continue to work tirelessly alongside our federal, state, and local partners as this investigation continues. The former president was shot in the right ear, he said on social media, leaving his face covered in blood. A GoFundMe campaign for the victims' families verified by the fundraising platform has raised over $2 million by Sunday afternoon, more than double its initial goal. More than 28,000 donations had poured in, according to the website. Speaking Sunday afternoon, President Joe Biden expressed his condolences to the Comparatori's family. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victim who was killed, the president said. He was a father. He was protecting his family from the bullets being fired when he lost his life. God love him. We are also praying for the full recovery of those who were injured. Witnesses have described a wave of chaos and terror that unfolded after the shooter, perched on a rooftop just outside the venue, fired several shots from an AR-style weapon. As shots rang out and the former president ducked below the podium, swarmed by Secret Service agents as attendees screamed and crouched toward the ground, video from the scene shows GOP Congressman Dan Mauser told CNN he was sitting in the front row of the rally with Pennsylvania Senate candidate David McCormick and Republican Rep. Mike Kelly. He saw a man fatally shot no more than 20 feet behind them, he said. Joseph Maine, a surgeon from Grove City, Pennsylvania, told CNN that he helped carry a man's body out of the stadium. Everybody started certainly screaming, asking for a medic, and honestly, it was a bloody scene, Mauser said. He was to the far right of the podium filming Trump's speech when he heard the gunshots. Just as I was panning back, I heard 7 gunshots in rapid succession in under 2 or 3 seconds. I am familiar with guns. I knew immediately it was gunfire, man told CNN. I saw him get hit. Man said he looked back in the direction of the gunshots, the gunshots had come from. I saw a man in the bleachers was hit directly in the head. There was a woman who was hit in the hand and forearm, a non-critical wound. He said he went over to see if he could render any aid, but another doctor was already tending to the woman who'd been shot. I helped carry the body of the man out of the stands, he said. They took the body to the tent behind the bleachers. Republican Representative Ronnie Jackson of Texas said that his nephew was also injured in the shooting. In an interview with Fox News, Jackson said his nephew was grazed in the neck. A bullet crossed his neck, cut his neck, and he was bleeding. The congressman called it a horrific experience. Another attendee who witnessed the shooting described an atmosphere of complete shock. It was too close for comfort, Donna Hutz told CNN. She and her son were just a few rows in the front of the attendees who were shot. She looked up and saw the injured attendees with lots of blood covering the bleachers, she said. The shooting created shockwaves around the world with international leaders, including Biden, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and the Vatican, condemning the attack and political violence more broadly. Authorities are still investigating both the shooter's possible motives and how he was able to assess the area with a weapon. It is surprising, but all the details of that will come out in the investigation, FBI Special Agent in Charge Kevin Rojek said in a news conference when asked how the shooter was able to fire several shots. This story has been updated with additional information. CNN is the source. It's uploaded 7 hours ago. Corey Comparatori is no longer alive. He was shielding his family and he died trying to protect his family. He was a firefighter, also Pennsylvania native. Hey, Karen, it's a lot of reading. it's a lot. Golly. Woo! Mercy. Yeah, CNN is the source if you're curious to that information. Boy. What a weekend, I must say. I don't know what's gonna happen next. Father, husband, firefighter. Comparatory is his name. Corey passed away yesterday. See, that's why I made mention about people cheering when Trump got up, because people got hurt. As you hear, one guy got grazed in the neck, one lady got grazed in the arm, 2 other people in the hospital, and 1 person's dead. So while everybody's cheering for Donald Trump, who was cheering for the dead man? And the other 2 people lying bleeding. Just saying. Wow, wow, wow. Now the stars have something to say. 50 Cent, Kid Rock, other artists react to Trump rally shooting. I ain't touching that. Wow. I just don't know what to say after this. Hey, Brooke. Yeah, it's bad business. I asked you all yesterday, do you think Donald Trump should continue on the campaign? Take the polls. Some people think he should continue. I just look at life as, as you get older, you're assuming that most people want to relax in their old golden years. Because once you get to 75, 70, most definitely, I would consider that golden. Why not try to relax and have a good life? Enjoy your family, your friends, your comrades. Why this route? I'm just asking. Especially now after being shot, because he did get hit in the ear. I'm also going to ask that question too. Do you think he has a point to prove now that he's been shot? Just asking. Lord have mercy. I've got some shorts in the YouTube queue uploaded. Feel free to check them out. We got a doctor who helped. We'll hear his commentary here shortly. I'll share all this information to my community page in case you're curious and you'd like to, hear it for yourself or watch it for yourself. All right, Biden has spoken this evening. It's a very brief commentary. Once again, you have to go back to this live stream to hear that commentary. Let's hear from the doctor that aided in this yesterday.
Dr. Jim Sweetland, an ER physician, was at the scene of last night's rally when he witnessed the shooting. He said he administered aid to a spectator who was greatly hurt. Dr. Sweetland, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Doctor, can you just relay your experience of what happened to you, and have you ever been in a live kind of situation like this? Obviously in the ER, but I mean out in the field with this kind of thing happening.
The answer is first, the second question first. I've never been in a live shooting arena before. I've had no combat experience. I was on the left bandstand as you're facing Donald Trump on the stage. I was underneath the Jumbotron, and he was showing the graphic about immigration. And we were turned to look at it, my friend and I, Gary Shelley, and I heard three pops, actually, pop, 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 then a pause, and then four others, pop, 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 pop. I turned to see the president entirely covered by Secret Service, and to my right, down in the same bandstand, was a woman shouting out, "He's been shot, he's down." And I turned my attention to her. Other individuals in the bandstand were sheltering, and I made my way over to that individual and administered CPR. And as you might guess, when I first arrived, I said, "I'm a doctor," and nobody believed me. And then I said, "I'm an ER physician. Could you help me get this man up on the bench?" He had been shot in the head, had body twisted as he fell. Everybody in the bandstand was standing at that time, so I assumed he was. Two individuals that were in shock themselves looked at me and got up and helped me get him back on a bench so I could administer CPR. Unfortunately, the man had a gunshot wound just above his ear, had no pulse and no respirations. And so I started to administer CPR to him as well as giving him rescue breathing. And I did so for about 2 minutes. And then I was tapped on the shoulder, and two of the biggest Pennsylvania State police officers I've ever seen were behind me. And they said, "We'll take him." And they picked him up, unfortunately, like a rag doll, and took him from the stands. I looked up to see his family, who witnessed my efforts at resuscitation. And the look on their faces said it all. My heart goes out to that family. My prayers go out with them. And I'm sorry, I was in shock yesterday. The gravity of that situation is hitting me right now.
Well, of course, and we thank you for helping us understand the situation and your reaction to it and what you went through. Doctor, you see this kind of thing all the time, I would imagine, in your day job. But this was clearly something different. Your training kicked in, but tell us about how this differs from what you have to do every day, which is deal with life and death as you face it in the ER.
The difference was I was a first responder in that moment, and a shout out to all the EMS that go out in the field and perform that duty every day, and then bring them into me stabilized in the emergency department. This was raw. There was blood. There was brain matter.
Oh my God.
And he needed immediate help. That's the difference. And I can't say enough about the people that were there, willing to help somebody else, another American who was shot. And certainly that was a young gentleman. I think he was in his 30s. I think he was there with his wife and his child. And I think he was just there to enjoy a beautiful sunny day and be there to enjoy this rally. This was the first Trump rally I've ever been to. And I'm so happy that there were people there that helped. If I can comment, later on I was walking and I was a bit in shock, and there's a video of me with blood on my face and blood on my shirt. And as I'm walking along, I get interviewed. Just after that interview, there was an Army combat veteran just off the screen. And he came up to me immediately afterwards and leaned into me and said, "Brother, you got blood on your face. Here's the water." I washed it off. Then I handed him the bottle back. He said to me, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Brother, are you okay?" That's what it's all about for me, for America. Speaking out and helping others that are in need. As much as I helped that gentleman, that Army vet helped me.
Dr. Jim Sweetland, thank you so much for your actions and for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
I think the news commentator, he was kind of stunned sitting there talking just a minute ago. I think he was kind of staring off into space, kind of stunned listening to the doctor speak. Well, that's a terrible place to be as a doctor, as a spectator, looking at someone wounded and know that they're not alive. Nothing you can do. For the dead man, at least. Oh, Lordy. I didn't help with the person that's people who have been wounded. I see that one guy, he was older. You can see he was an older white gentleman. The one they brought down the Raptors. He didn't look too good. Oh, Lord have mercy. Just looking through the queue to see what's available. As I said, I had a lot planned, but storms hit Joliet, Illinois, and it don't look good. What I'm seeing, Joliet, Illinois, for those of you who are familiar with Joliet, storms have ravaged through. What was the motive for this attack? Butler, Pennsylvania. Don't know. Did he have mental illness or he was aware of his faculties? Because people always assume a person is mentally ill because they shoot people. A lot of people know exactly what they're doing. They're not mentally disturbed. They just took it upon themselves to do what they wanted to do. Very scary information. Oh, and his wife, kids must be devastated. Husband's not coming home. Not coming home at all. Just want to see what else is on. Let me see the CNN live. Okay, let's see. Now, the Republican National Convention kicks off. I guess that will start tomorrow. CNN will be available, I guess, filming starting at 3 p.m. if you're interested. NBC. I'm trying to see CNN live. I don't see anything. ABC. I'm almost 2 hours in. We'll play a little more of this information. Then I'm going to probably come back either tonight or tomorrow to bring you my update pertaining to the ashram. I want to bring you the findings I have and what I've gathered pertaining to Taylor KC and other missing persons, the pink phone case found on the floor, and a video that's been uploaded to YouTube pertaining to her participating in the ashram events. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Luminous.
Guys, just undo the gate. Just lift this left. This right side. Come on. Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
I want to say this too. After looking at this one lady's post on the Florida WFLA news, there was a lady who wanted to go as a counter protester against Trump, but something happened when she changed her mind. The one thing I wanted people to think about was, imagine if there were people there protesting the Trump rally, how out of control it could have gotten, besides the shooter. Okay? You already have a mad person, mad at the world for whatever reason, mad at him, on top of a building shooting. Now imagine protesters there. I thought about that after I saw this video today. I said, imagine people on the ground protesting, arguing back and forth, people getting crunk. It would have been an all-out war in Butler yesterday had people showed up to protest the rally. Seriously, just imagine people arguing, fussing, woo, woo, woo. Now, police getting involved, trying to escort people out. And then you've got a person on top of a roof starting to shoot at people. Very interesting. Very interesting. Let me see what they got going on right here.
Gotta take the road! Take the road!
Some people were trying to get out, some people weren't.
Sir.
Protests should not be inside the rally. Well, I assume they would probably ask you to leave anyway or escort you out, whether you're inside or outside.
Shots were fired.
We can clearly see him with a rifle, absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
An AR-style rifle was recovered at the scene. Police also found explosive devices inside the suspect's vehicle near the rally and bomb-making material at his home. Fox News spoke with someone who went to high school with the shooter, who claims he was on the school's rifle team.
Bomb-making material at the house. Wow.
Like a kid that was always alone. He was always bullied every day. He was just an outcast.
The president and vice president were briefed in the Situation Room this afternoon. Biden expressing his condolences for the man who died and urging patience while the investigation plays out.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or any violence for that matter. I urge everyone, please, don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations. Let the FBI do their job and their partner agencies do their job.
The Trump campaign says despite the apparent attempt on his life, he fully intends to be in Milwaukee this week for the Republican National Convention. Reporting in Atlanta, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
Thank you, Madison, for that report. And we do know that former President Trump is already in Milwaukee for the RNC. That is going to be starting tomorrow. We do have extended coverage here at Live Now from Fox. Live look inside a Pfizer Forum there over in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where, again, the Republican National Convention is going to be underway starting tomorrow. I did want to showcase for you guys this. Take a look at this, a map that we just recently got into our newsroom, and it really gives us a clear picture on this entire scenario and where key players were during that shooting at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. So you can see here at the Trump stage where that's pointed out at the Trump evacuation point, The counter sniper teams are there, and also the shooter's location. In fact, there's so many questions right now as to how that shooter was able to get on top of a roof of a building that was so close to where the former president was speaking. According to the AP, that roof was less than 150 meters from where Trump was speaking. It's a distance which is a decent size for where a marksman could reasonably hit a human-sized target. So for reference, 150 meters is a distance at which U.S. Army recruits must hit a human-sized silhouette to qualify for the M16 assault rifle in basic training. The AR-style rifle, like the one that the gunman used at the Trump rally, is a semi-automatic civilian version of the military M16. So still so many questions to be answered as we try to learn more from the FBI investigating that entire chaotic scene that we saw.
So what they're showing here is the outbuildings. The bigger buildings is where the shooter was, where it's got like 3 buildings. One's kind of would be, I don't know how to describe it. It's got a big portion onto it and then 3 little ones. And then there, where the counter snipers were sitting, they would have been, I guess, what would be considered to the back of Trump and the stage. It's very weird because each section has like little buildings. So they're on top of the buildings, 3 little outbuildings behind the stage. But then when you go over to the side, that's where the other bigger buildings are, where the shooter would have been. And also found dead once the sniper shot him dead. So people are going to ask, well, now if you're saying that the snipers were on top of the building at the same time, how is it that they didn't see him up there on the other building? I haven't the foggiest idea. Lord have mercy, because I thought they were going to say there were no snipers on the buildings. So this is bizarre. If they were on the buildings sitting behind the stage, then how would they have not seen the buildings? I guess that would be to the right of them. Him being up there, I don't know. I have no idea.
At the Trump rally yesterday. As I mentioned at the top of the last hour, the President of the United States did address the nation in the Oval Office, where he did make some remarks about that attempted assassination of the former president that happened on Saturday. And he also called for unity and told the nation that they must resolve their differences at the ballot box. I would like to play out that entire address in full for anyone who may have missed it. It's not too long, about 6.5 minutes. Let's watch.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back. Take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke to him last night, and I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero, sheltering his family from those bullets. We should all hold his family and all those injured in our prayers. Earlier today, I spoke about an ongoing investigation. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support, or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals, as I speak, are investigating those questions. Tonight, I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. Whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against the city governor, or an attempted assassination on Donald Trump. There's no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high. I've said it many times that the choice in this election, we make in this election, is going to shape the future of America and the world for decades to come. I believe that with all my soul. I know that millions of my fellow Americans believe it as well. And some have a different view as to the direction our country should take. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of human nature. But politics must never be a literal battlefield, and God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace. All of us now face the time of testing as the election approaches. And the higher the stakes, the more fervent the passions become. This places an added burden on each of us to ensure that no matter how strong our convictions, we must never descend into violence. The Republican convention will start tomorrow. I have no doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and the vision, my vision of the country, our vision. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution, the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of would-be assassins. You know, the path forward through competing visions of the campaign should always be resolved peacefully, not through acts of violence. You know, we're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to make America, think about it. What's made America so special? Here in America, everyone must be treated with dignity and respect, and hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos, where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this. You know, from the beginning, our founders understood the power of passion. So they created democracy that gave reason and balance a chance to prevail over brute force. That's the American we must be. In American democracy, where arguments are made in good faith. In American democracy, where the rule of law is respected. In American democracy, where decency, dignity, fair play aren't just quaint notions, but living, breathing realities. We owe that to those who come before us, to those who gave their lives for this country. We owe that to ourselves. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren. Look, let's never lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
All right, you just heard there once again the presidential address that Biden gave a little earlier this evening from the Oval Office. A live look at the White House over in Washington, D.C. Just past 9 o'clock over on the East Coast, just past 6 o'clock over here on the West Coast. We're going to step away for our first commercial break of the hour. Stick with us, more to come online.
All right, this is Fox Raw. CBS News is the source of the information I brought you earlier pertaining to this debacle that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. One person has passed away. Corey Comparatory, father, 2 girls and a wife, firefighter. 2 other people were injured, 2 other males. Also, the shooter was unalived by Secret Service. Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, is the subject involved in the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, July 13th, which was yesterday, in Butler, Pennsylvania. If you have any information or videos, you can go to FBI capital letters .lowercase gov /lowercase Butler or call 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any type of information to aid in this investigation. Bethel Park is a Pittsburgh suburb, hours south of Butler. The town is in Allegheny County, has about 30,000 residents, and it has only one high school with 1,300 students. Crooks graduated from Bethel Park High School in 2022. Trying to get all the rest of this information. Graduated from Community College of Allegheny County, May 2024. Associate of Science degree in engineering. So he wasn't a dummy. He would be deemed as a smart kid. He also worked at a rehabilitation center as a dietary aide. Bethel Park Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. It's a dietary aide. What was he doing exactly? It's working in the kitchen. Curious. No motive at the time. I believe he's the only one involved so far. Also, the bomb squad was at his home. They found devices in his car that were near the scene at the time of yesterday's events, and also bomb-making material in his house. The gun was registered to his father, or is registered to his father. Did the father buy it for himself? Some of you asked, did they buy it for him? I have no information that it was bought for his son. So right now it's registered to the father, Mr. Matthew Crooks. What is going to become of this investigation as far as accountability of what took place? The Secret Service, allegedly they were on the roof behind the stage, but the suspect was able to climb on a roof in adjacent buildings to the side. Bystanders saying they were trying to alert police that he was up there. So people are going to now say, if you were up there on a set of buildings, why didn't you see this guy up there? Or were they just paying attention straight ahead, but not to the right or left of them? Don't know. Will there be some accountability that they failed? How does Mr. Trump feel about security? That'll be my next question to put on the poll. Does he feel like he was failed by security? Although he's thanked the public, staff, police department for helping, but does he feel failed by the Secret Service? That's my next question on the community poll. When I get more information to who Mr. Crooks is, I will bring you that update. As far as his family, I'll bring you that update. But as I said, I'm sure they're dealing with a lot, because if they didn't have any problems out of their son, he never acted out, he doesn't have a criminal record, he hasn't been in trouble, they may be questioning themselves, what happened to our child and why did he go out on this fateful day to exact this crime? So we have to ask ourselves, who are they? Do they vote, don't vote? Are they Republicans? He is also registered as a Republican, but donated to a Democratic fund or so. Once again, people are entitled to give their money where they see fit. So how was he raised? Was there any type of rhetoric against Trump in the household, or he just didn't like Trump? What was the motive? I don't know. As I said, will it matter? Because he's dead. He can't talk to you and he can't tell you why he did it. And will it matter? See, those are the things. Everything's about perception. Doesn't matter why he tried to kill the man, because one man's dead and two are in the hospital. And as I said, the behavior of the spectators was very bizarre to me. People not trying to run for cover, ducking. Then you have the president, former president, jumping up and down, excited with the fists up. All that was weird to me when you look at the totality of it all, that other people could have been injured. Some people were injured, and luckily they're not dead. So when you talk about being grazed at the neck, well, your head's on top of your neck. Okay, your head is attached to your neck, so stay woke. Then you're talking about bomb-making material. So what was the end goal? Mr. Crooks, what was his end goal? Go out in a blaze of glory? Detonate some bombs? What was his plan? Did he also have let's say, a hit list? We haven't asked that. Were there other people on there that he wanted to exact harm against? Did he talk out to other people about his rhetoric or put out rhetoric? Did he talk to other people about how he felt about Donald Trump, any other politicians, or any other persons? Because surely if you can get mad at one, you can be mad at somebody else. We will see what they have pertaining to who this young man was, anything found in his devices that was of negative, similar nature of acting out. What will we find out about his parents, how they reared him? Any type of altercations with family, friends, neighbors, co-workers? How was he as an employee? So there are thousands of questions you can ask. This can go on and on just in trying to figure out who Mr. Crooks was. But he was unalived on top of that roof yesterday near the stage, feet behind the stage, side of the stage. And he was unalived by Secret Service. 2 people injured, males, and 1 male has lost his life. Father, 2 girls, and a husband, and also he was a firefighter. That's the latest information I have. I want to thank you all for joining me. I will be back this week with more commentary. I want to bring you a story about a father who's lost custody of his 2 children due to him posting his kids to social media. Was it right? Was it wrong? I can't remember if I put a poll up about that last week, but I can jumpstart it again. Do you think it's right? Because a judge made him take down the YouTube videos, and he currently has no custody of his children. Once a week visit with his children, supervised visits with his twin children. And if he makes any content, I guess it'll just be about him talking about losing custody or any other subject matter, but he cannot naturally film his children anymore. That was a part of the order from the judge. No more filming of the kids, and made him take down the videos of the kids. So that's the said commentary there. Like, share, subscribe. Check my community posts. Take the polls. Comment under them if you choose to. Feel free to comment under this video. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie, 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are always welcome to the live stream. This commentary is pertaining to the shooter, who has been identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20 years of age, Caucasian male, who is no longer alive. 2 victims are in the hospital, and 1 is no longer alive. That's the said information. You all have a wonderful week. I will be posting a movie of the week once I get off this live stream, so feel free to check it out. You have been listening to the Vault XL.